Okay, so this is just a quick update video for the latest version of Spry that went up. So 1.6.3.1162. So it's been almost 2 months since our last Spry release, and this is the longest I think we've ever gone between releasing versions of the release version of the software. Most of this has been around implementing new testing criteria, so making sure that new versions of Spry are as bulletproof as possible so that your experience with the software is better than perhaps with the more rapid releasing system that we used to have. We're going to be a lot faster than this for the most part, but just implementing new testing procedures. And yeah, so anyway, what you're interested in is what's changed in Spry itself. So let's pull up the update notes, and I'll just summarize what I'm going to talk about in the video. If you're not interested in any of it, you can move on. But basically what we've got that I'll be talking about in greater detail, the grouping expressions have been added to capacity constraints. I'm going to show you an example that came up for me several years ago that I couldn't solve without this feature, which we've just added. I had to use a script to do. I'm going to show you some of these new animation right-click menus. And then basically that's about it in terms of the things that might change the way that you work. There's a few other things which there's been a bunch of things that have been improved. There's 120 something patches in this one. Most of them are a lot of small usability bugs, little niggles and things that potentially people have had problems in the past with the way the software works, but nothing that should be changing your workflow like these might. If you've been affected by a bug, a smaller bug, I'll be going through the support lists and updating everybody that's reported bugs or yeah, so we'll be getting on top of that. But let's start with this one here, the grouping expressions to capacity constraints. So basically what this means is by default a capacity constraint is you give it a single area and that gets a single capacity. So in this example here, the default demo model has a grouping expression of all, which just means the whole pit is normally what it used to mean. So it's like your capacity constraint just referred to everything within the range that you gave it. So over the whole mine, I have a coal capacity constraint each month. A problem that I ran into several years ago was that I had a disturbance requirement for each block. So I was only able to dig 3 benches within a given block every month for dust control reasons. And so now what we can do is we can create a capacity constraint that says don't dig with the don't dig excavated dirt more than 3 benches or 3 records within a month. So I'll show you how we can do that with the new grouping expression for these. You may have other ideas. Like a lot of these features, they come up. We don't necessarily know how well or what they're going to be used for when they first come out, but this is my first idea that I had with them. So 3 benches per block per month. Okay, so how I would do that is, firstly, I'm just going to set mine to a manually specified. I'm not teaching how to do capacity constraints today, but what we're going to do is use the new grouping expression, and I'm going to create a group out of every block in the mine. So for my model, that's pit strip block. Now basically every capacity that I set here is going to be applied individually to each pit strip and block combination in my model. I'm going to change my value from source quantity to source percentage completed. So what this is going to allow me to do is basically that's a number from 0 to 1. So if I finish a block, it's 100%. If I finish another block, it's another 100%. That would equal to 2. So if I want to do no more than 3 records in a given month on a block, then it's going to be the number 3 because each of them is from 0 to 1. So what I do is I use the wizard now with, I'm going to do manually specified, but you can use your reporting levels if you like, it doesn't matter. And then I'm going to go every month from the schedule start to the schedule end. My capacity is going to be 3. And that's it. So now if I rerun my schedule, we'll focus on one individual record. It makes it a little easier to spot the difference. Ignore that, that's a separate issue. So if I zoom in and have a look at this block here, and we'll just move forward a little bit in the schedule. There we go. Okay, so we are now in January. So we've taken 1, 2, 3 benches. You'll see 1, 2, 3. And because I started, let's just go back a little bit further. So I started on 125, I do 120, 115, but now it's in January. Until we get to the next month, I'm not going to take anything more out of here. As soon as we kind of hit the next month, you'll see this excavator pop back into this strip and start taking records again. But as soon as we've taken another 3, we're sort of mid towards end of February, we're not taking any more. So this is an example of how the grouping expressions for capacity constraints will work. If you're unsure about what it can and can't do, just ask a question, give us a buzz. But yeah, that's a really handy one for certain specific situations. Some other things that have been added. Current equipment status. So you can actually see now where your bits of gear are. Rather than actually having to right click the solid that a piece of equipment is on, you can see the equipment status for it. And so you can actually dive deeper into it and see where the 6040 is at, what steps it might be on. And so you've got a little bit more information accessible from here. The other thing you can do is previously, if you selected a source task and wanted to take your schedule through to that state, what you had to do was click this find all steps. Basically, the old version of it is the find all steps in schedule, and what it does is it takes you to the output schedule, filters your output schedule. It's useful for some things, but sometimes all you want to do is push the animation forward to the date that you were interested in. So the new system allows you to do both. So if you go to the schedule steps now and you select a specific step, it just takes you to that date in the animation, to that schedule step. It'll take you halfway between. So if the schedule step starts at 12, finishes at 6, then it'll take you to 3 o'clock. So that's quite a handy one to just very quickly get your animation to a particular point. You want to know when a record gets taken. I want to know when that record gets taken. Task is the blasted excavator task. The steps take me forward, takes you just immediately forward to that step. You may experience a tiny bit of lag in this click. We defer the creation of that list because it requires you to sort your output schedule and have a look at things. It may take a couple of seconds the first time you right click into that, but just hang back, wait for it to populate, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, that's been another useful one that's been added into the new version of Spry. Everything else in the list basically there's been some oversights in terms of global constants. You couldn't access them from a spreadsheet formula. You can now. The dependency preview now splits between predecessors and successors. If you're using the preview for that, you'll notice it. If you haven't been using the preview for it, it's not going to change your reason that you're not going to start using it now. We've also done some improved memory management and performance stuff. Hopefully you find that Spry in general is quite a bit faster, just generically. Your run times, your load times, haulage, anywhere from 10 to 15, 20%, could be up to 60, 70% faster. Basically, the more powerful your computer is, and the more memory it's got, the faster you'll find your Spry performance should be. If you're finding the opposite or you're having issues with performance after that, there is a setting that we have changed, that we have sort of the default is the new high performance mode. If you are having performance issues, if you go into the background settings and look for project memory management and change it from auto to standard. Standard is the old version, prioritized is the new version. So yeah, so the performance improvement, if it's not working for you, if for some reason everything feels slower, you can step back. But if you do find that it's slower, can you please let us know, because it shouldn't be. It should be pretty much for any modern computer built, any computer built in the last 6 or 7 years, everything should feel and genuinely be quite a bit faster. So if it's not, please let us know. Other than that, as I said, if you've got issues with the software that you'd previously raised with us, I'll be getting back to you via email. But that's it. If you have any questions about that, or you have experienced any issues with the new version of the software, please let us know. We can help you move back a version temporarily while we fix your issues. But yeah, hopefully with the new testing system that we have in place, that things are a lot smoother for these updates. Thank you for your attention. I'll leave it at that.